Hello and welcome, I'm Tafara Gidamo. We are into a massive tree planting campaign in this country, but is it also time to look into invasive species? That and more with my guest today, Dr. Melesse Maryo, who is the director of the Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute. Dr. Melesse, a very warm welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So we are in the middle of a tree planting campaign. What do you make of that?
As Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute, we are so happy in this tree planting. Especially in the past, we lost a lot, especially the wild animal diversity, as well as the plant species diversity. We lost a lot. With this regard, tree planting will facilitate the Ethiopian biodiversity, both in forested and non-forested area. I mean that in a forested, intact or the dense forest area, or in agricultural area, where we call it agroforestry. Thus, such activities are very important for conservation of biodiversity, and we welcomed it so happy.
Are you involved in the campaign?
Yes, we involved in the campaign.
In what way?
In Akaki Warada Yerer area, there was some deforested forest area, along with our commission, the Ethiopian the Environment, Forest, and the Climate Change Commission, and it is sectors like EUCA, the Ethiopian Wildlife Conservation Authority, and EFRI, the Ethiopian Forest Research Institute, and Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute. We all were involved in tree planting.
What kinds of trees are being planted?
Actually, the type of trees in our group here, we planted both indigenous as well as exotic types. The exotic type was Cupressus, or we call it pharangiid in Amharic, and the others were the indigenous ones, two of them. So we were so happy. Juniper is the Abashatid, and the Olea is or Vera. Both of them are indigenous ones. We planted both indigenous and exotic types.
Beyond that, were you involved in the planning process? Of the campaign?
Actually, it was not the Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute, but the Environment, Forest, and Climate Change Commission, our commission, directly involved with even the committee, national committee member. And technically, the Ethiopian Forest Research Institute was involved. And with this technical component, the Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute experts were involved as a like a technical group.
So we had several campaigns of this sort in the years past. I mean, the last being from about 10, 11 years ago. So what makes this campaign, the current one, any different from the others? The figures
actually,
aside.
Rather than the figures itself, what I'm so happy on behalf of Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute is that the great awareness creation was made. Especially the call for this has been done by Prime Minister himself. And with this regard, everybody, starting from the child as far as experts and the professionals, everybody involved in the area. And then they realized what the importance of the tree is. So that's a unique one. And the second important thing as to me is that even the planting system itself, the planting strategy itself, and those who have been involved in planting process, they have been guided by experts. For every group, for instance, in our side, we had 2 experts guiding 20 people who are planting there, and how to plant, where to plant, and then how to even stand the tree in the upright position, where the root system will be placed. All these have been experienced, and then that was taught also the practically by the experts. And then with knowledge, all those people have planted. And then these have been made through knowledge. If that is the case, if you plant from the very beginning during the plantation step, you took good method of planting, meaning that the survival rate of the seedling will be very high. This is one. And secondly, as it was said, more than 300 million trees have been planted. That is also an unusual number in the country. That's surprising to me and surprising for the world as a whole.
The Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute was established when, about well over 4 decades?
Yeah. It was, even we can say that before 4 decades, in 1976 Gregorian calendar.
It's not surprising considering the fact that Ethiopia has at least 2 of the world's hotspots, diversity hotspots.
Yes, we have 2 biodiversity hotspots. These are very important in a sense that we have the rich diversity, biological diversity itself, and at the same time, they are not rich only, but they are endangered due to different reasons.
Why are they endangered?
Endangered, I mean, they are highly threatened. So why highly they are threatened? One of the important factors is, you see, the ever-growing population is a factor because directly or indirectly, the great population pressure is there and distracting the habitat where biodiversity, both animal and plant diversity is there. So the environmental destruction or the habitat destruction is one of the important threat for that area, and expansion of agriculture because of this fact, because higher population number, it needs more land to cultivate, and this made it. And then a number of factors are there. You can cite like invasive alien species are also one important factor that invade currently. For instance, if you see the eastern part, around the Afar region, about 1.8 million hectares of land have been already occupied by prosopis. This is the invader.
You can see that left and right as you drive.
Yeah. You can see everywhere. And then it needs a great effort to remove this. So these invasive species are also important traits for that. Besides to that, as everybody understands, the climate change has a great impact, especially in tropics. Even the expansion of the invasive species is associated with the climate change impact. And some drought, as you remember, nearly at every 10 years time drought being happened in Ethiopia, and that is also one of the important traits with this regard.
We as a country have failed to monitor our borders. That's why we have all these invasive species coming to Ethiopia, one way or the other.
Yeah, that is also the case, knowingly or unknowingly, in the past. Even some of them were brought for good. For instance, if you consider the prosopis, somebody brought it as if to restore or to reclaim degraded area. In the beginning, to the eastern part of the country, you see, the northeastern part of the country.
And that's with
in the beginning, it was good, really.
And it was with the blessing of
it
governmental
was
institutions.
with
Government institutions okayed that, right?
It was said by the expatriate, the foreigners, brought as an aid to support or to reclaim the degraded land. It happened. But that's unfortunately, you see, it has a special strategy of expanding. Animals fed it, for instance, the prosopis. Animals fed it. It will not be digested by the alimentary system of the animal. Rather than when they defecate it, the manures and other part. So that when they defecate it, there is a moisture. So this moisture will assist it. And then it will not be degraded in the alimentary canal. And soon after, as it falls on the ground, so it germinates quickly. Different strategy it has. And then the wider range of growth. It's more adaptable for the tropical areas. And then more currently, it occupies almost all, you can say that, as far as Arbamint, the Rift Valley system as a whole.
Do we even know how invasive?
Yes.
We have the statistics?
Yeah. You are saying the aerial coverage?
Coverage, yes.
Almost the current data indicate that about 1.8 million hectares of the land. Even I assume that this figure can be beyond this number itself. 1.8 million. Because if you consider the eastern, the Rift Valley systems of the country, so that's amazing. And then it also occupied national parks, like you see the Awash National Park, where the wildlife are there. Is a great problem.
So why do you think this is? Is it particularly because the lack of coordination between your institute, for example, and the other bodies that we have at the federal and regional levels?
The issue of invasive species, rather than removing, we can say that the control of invasive species is not the duty or the activity of a single institution. That it should be coordinated by one institution, but every citizen is a concern of every citizen. For instance, it is degrading, occupying the rangeland. So that has to do with the Ministry of Agriculture. That has to do with the Commission of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And that has to do with the local community itself. And that has to do with the individual farmer itself. Because it is occupying his own land. He has to take the care of it. So what is expected from coordinating institutions is that making the awareness, so the impact and how it expands and the negative side of the species itself. If that is the case, starting from the individual level, as far as other concerned institutions and the research institutions, the universities, the environment forest research in the country, and many concerned. Why not the schools? The schools are environmental club. And the universities, all these, partners should be partakers of the controlling system of the invasive species.
Is it fair to suggest that there should be a campaign as part of this one that we have now to be able to address these invasive species now?
Thank you so much. I agree with your idea. This should be a campaign issue. The issue of invasive alien species should be a campaign issue. It should be the part of discussion of higher officials level as that of tree planting. In one side, we are meant to save the land degraded area. In another side, we are losing the land. Therefore, there should be a balance and a campaign. It will be a part and parcel of the attention of higher officials.
And that brings me to your institute again. Brings me to your institute, the Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute. Are you capable in spearheading this campaign? Who should take the lead now? Someone should take the lead. This is the right time to raise these issues, right?
There are about well-known certified invader plant species, rather than just emphasizing on plant. Yeah. And more recently, studies indicate about they are increasing from time to time, nearly more than 100 and 102 something. The new figures more recently. So this is very difficult for a single institution to control such issues. There should be a special strategy at a national level, and concerned, it could be Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute. It should be supported in terms of budget, should be supported in terms of expertise. If that is a case, and it's well regarded, concerned, and taken into consideration by the attention of higher officials, that's possible. Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute can take a lead if that is the case. But as I said, there are at the directorate level in different institutions. Take, for instance, the Environment, Forest and Climate Change Commission. There is a directorate level that's concerned for these invasive issue there. And Ethiopian Environment and Forest Research Institute is there. Then you can find also the directorate level, the organizational structure there. In Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute is not well organized, even at directorate level. The Civil Service Commission and other, the structural organization is very important with this regard. If there is a structural organization, that structural organization should run and go down to the regional level, then to the zonal, and then Warada, and as far as Kabale level. If that is a case, so it's so easy and simply we can manage or control the issue.
Are you capable of maintaining the human resources that you have at your institute? I know that you keep on losing professionals.
We are losing our professionals because of, you see, if they find something better income, so a number of dropouts, and then the turnovers are very high in my institutes, and then they are leaving the institute and getting into universities, NGOs, and others, looking for the better income.
And the impact is quite devastating because
right.
You're a research institute, you are here, you're the repository of Ethiopian biodiversity.
Yeah.
But it's in all the genes.
This is a great impact. The fact is that these ones are highly experienced scholars and experts, having a long period of experience, and who can coach some others also, the junior ones. And then there are the assets for the institute itself, and we are losing. So with this regard, I think we need a revision of, I think, the income at this civil service commission level or as a government.
Are you looking into it?
To retain those. Yeah, we have been reporting such issues even at PM level, the Prime Minister level, from our commission. Just we took the issue to the commission, and the commission took the issue to even the PM level. And we asked also the Civil Service Commission. And then, the things are on board, and they gave us some positive hope. I think in the long run, it may be resolved.
The National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, pretty interesting, but not necessarily an effective tool.
National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan is very important. That the second plan Ethiopia made from 2011 to 2020, and we have been implementing it for the last, starting from 2050 to 2020 for 5 years' time. But we implemented for the last 3 years, meaning from 2015 to 2080. We did it, and at country level, we had about 18 targets. Out of these 18 targets, 11 of them are on board. They are on track. They are being done very well. But 6 of them are to the average, and 1 is red because we failed to implement it. That one is the issue of eradicating or controlling the invasive alien.
What we have talked in some detail earlier on.
Yeah.
But this action plan doesn't necessarily take your institution alone in addressing some of the important biodiversity issues that we are facing in this country, right? It brings aboard a number of institutions, right? And that makes your job a lot more difficult and challenging.
Actually, we have about 58 activities. We have 18 targets, 58 activities. Out of these, about 60% of the activities, I can say that 58 activities are there. Out of these, 34 of the activities are being conducted by the Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute, and the rest goes to about 8 or 9 sectors or ministries. like EUCA, the Ethiopian Wildlife Conservation, and then Ministry of Education, Plan Commission, Ministry of Agriculture, and many others are there.
Yeah.
So in terms of coordination, all these are the actors. All these institutions, the government ministries and
But all of them are not equally effective.
Yes.
Are not equally effective
Yes.
actors, including yours.
Yes.
Do you agree?
Yes. They are not effective as such. Meaning that some of the global concern, if you consider the issue, we are good on a good track. Because among the 18 targets, 11 of them are on track. At 2020, so we can achieve the targets. And 6 of them are in average. And we failed in 1. Therefore, we have to increase our coordination effort or our implementation strengths. So if that is the case, we will be in a position to achieve. But I doubt the issue of the invasive alien species. Yeah, and then these institutions have to do a lot with this regard.
Do you connect very well with all these institutions? Do you have a regular meeting of sorts and review your achievements and challenges and things that need to be done?
National Biodiversity Council is there as a national level. So the chairperson is the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia, the Environment, Forest and Climate Change Commissioner. So the commissioner is a chairperson, and then Ethiopian Biodiversity Institute is a secretary. So with this regard, we had a good advancement or improvement with this regard even in the past. You call for the meeting issues and the people may not appear. For instance, those who were the ministers, they will not be in a position rather than you see some experts will appear in the meeting. So that was a great challenge even to run the issues and to carry out the decisions.
What are you doing about that?
With this regard, what we did is a very good, and the measure we took is that. And we took this issue to the board, especially to the Plan Commission. So we reported for them. And then what they say is that each and every activity which has been established and agreed in a National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan of every sector should be indicated in their plan and should be also submitted to the Plan Commission, Plan and Development Commission. So they are in a good status in managing those sectors. So more recently, this is a bit advanced, as I can see. And then they are being involved. Recently, some better, especially from experts, the higher experts' point of view, they have been working with us.
Well, good to know that. And thank you very much, Dr. Melesse. It was really a pleasure having you on my show. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.